So 2023 has been as advertised, a very dynamic astrological year to date. March has been really like off the chain, the Aries energy, really loud, Pluto moving into Aquarius. We've had a lot of things going on, but I think you'll find that May is going to be even more intense in a different way. So by the end of this video, you're going to understand why May 2023 may be the biggest game changer ever. So I've picked out 3 things. There is a lot going on in May, but these may be the most intense things going on. I'd love to hear your experiences with them. So drop a comment about how you're experiencing these, where these placements or these planetary transits fall in your chart is going to determine maybe how intense they are and what part of your life they are impacting, right? So if you want to learn more about that, I have a birth chart mastery mentorship. There is a link in the description box below. You can ask all the questions you want. And we take on topics like this to help us understand how transits are impacting our lives. Okay. So the first thing that I think is going to be very intense in May 2023 is the Scorpio full moon. Okay. May 5th, Scorpio full moon, massively impactful. It is a lunar eclipse. We've just gone through an Aries new moon solar eclipse in April. That was very intense in kind of an external way, right? Aries is about us taking action. Scorpio is water energy. It's fixed water. So it's also about internal action or internal changes. This is going to be super emotionally intense. You may feel it in ways of, traumas coming up or emotions that you have pushed down may come to the surface suddenly. You may find that there's this dynamic tension with people that you may feel, but you don't know where it's coming from. This full moons are about releasing, okay? And Scorpio is about that intense feeling energy. And Scorpio is Pluto energy. So that's really transformational energy. And it's deep, deep, deep. Okay. These things can come from your childhood. These things can come, these intense feelings or intense sort of shadow work shadow experiences, you showing your shadow to people that you may not even think you're doing it. This may be something that's totally outside of your capability. It's just like it just comes out of you and you're like, wow, where did that come from? All right. So pay attention to this. This is where we are going to confront our deepest feelings and deepest traumas. If you have gone through anything in your life, and a lot of you who watch my channel, we've talked about dealing with narcissistic partners and family members. We've talked about dealing with childhood trauma and all of those things. There is somewhere in your body, it is stored. That energy gets stored. And to remove it or release it is a really healthy thing. So I kind of like this Scorpio full moon. It makes me feel like we are really going to get the chance to get rid of some stuff. Okay. After carting it around for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, this gives us a chance. And it also reminds us how much we are our own healers. Okay. So when you get reminded of trauma or when emotions kind of erupt on you, seemingly out of the blue, we get the chance to use that energy. Right? We can manifest from a higher plane of consciousness when we're aware. So not just being aware of what's going on is not necessarily all that you need to do, but boy, it's a first step, right? We've all had the experience of being triggered by something and then being like, why was that such a big deal to me? That is because it's coming from the unconscious. That trigger is trying to get noticed by you. You may not have any idea why you feel triggered by a certain person or a place or something like that. You might have suppressed something in childhood. You may not like that neighbor, from where you grew up or something like that. These are all scorpionic kind of experiences. Okay. And we all have Scorpio in our chart. Some of us have it louder than others. I have Scorpio in my first house. That means it's pretty loud for me. And if you want to, kind of discover that for yourself, Scorpio energy is a really great way to do journaling exercises, do deep, meditative or past life regression, or do some things that really get into your subconscious. Tarot is the archetypal roadmap of the subconscious in many ways. And that's why I love that tool, because it's bringing to light stories and energies that we may or may not be aware of. Sometimes when a storyline will come out in a tarot reading and someone will post a comment and they'll be like, oh yeah, I didn't put those things together, or I didn't realize what a big deal this was, or how much I needed to take care of it. So tarot does its job, and I kind of like that. All right, so we are really, if you're somebody who has a lot of air in their chart like me, we tend to think our feelings. And so this Scorpio full moon can really help us feel our feelings. That is the only way to release them. We can't just go around thinking our feelings, going, yes, intellectually, I know that person is somebody that I need to, have a discussion with or a conversation with. Instead, it's the much less safe kind of experience of feeling the feelings, allowing them to be in your life, and then releasing them. You can release them. You can. All right, you can. And the first step to doing that is to feel those feelings. So this Scorpio full moon may be a terrific opportunity. And I think as we get closer to May 5th, I'll probably be doing some kind of meditation, probably with my Pathfinders. So if you're in my Pathfinders group, we will work on getting this out, all right? Getting these corrosive emotions out of you that could have been driving your life for years. Why you choose a certain partner, why you don't want to talk to your mother, why there's a lot of stuff going on in our subconscious that when we get it out, we then can understand ourselves. But let's feel those feelings first. And the Scorpio full moon is a great way to do it. So what you want to do is you want to slow down this time period around May 5th. And actually since the new moon solar eclipse that we've had, you may feel the sense of slowing down, looking inward, feeling these feelings, cry, rage safely, let them out, do something creative to release them, paint them, sing them, dance them, whatever you want to do. But all of those things really do help to release them. So thank you to the Scorpio full moon on May 5th. That's really going to help us all out. The second thing I want to talk about is Jupiter squaring Pluto, okay? So between May 14th and May 21st, Jupiter is moving into Taurus, and we know, we've been talking about Pluto kind of moving into Aquarius, so it's still at 0 degrees Aquarius. It's going into retrograde in May, which I will talk about next, but let's just talk about Jupiter square Pluto, okay? Because squares in astrology are about tension. They're about dynamic efforts to change brought on by stressors or brought on by difficult relationships or people that you have difficulty with. So it does indicate change because Pluto is change, transformation. Jupiter is about expansion, okay? And Jupiter is a lot about prosperity. So you're going to have to watch out for this driving sense of, I will succeed at any cost, running over people, trampling people to get a promotion. That could come back to haunt you. Doing things in your business that are unethical, that will definitely come back to haunt you. Okay, so this intense drive to succeed can come from a lot of different places. But at this point with the Jupiter square Pluto, how you can feel about it is like, I'm going for it. And I don't care who I hurt to do it. So when you start, if you start feeling that way, if there's this rampant sense of greed, like, you're working with partners and you're thinking everybody else is getting too much, I should be getting more. I think cycling back on that and understanding the impact that everybody has in a group setting is going to be important. Like really understand the softer side of Jupiter, which is about being magnanimous and also being generous, right? Pluto can be expanded by this Jupiter square, right? Jupiter expands whatever it connects to. And so the transformation can be really huge, okay? in one way or another. The transformation can be either a direction that perhaps you never thought you would go down, do some shady stuff, and like just keep going with it because no one's catching you. That will be a thing that will come back to haunt you. So I'm getting my advice here is you stay on the Jupiter side of this. And the Jupiter side is let's expand transformation from a generous standpoint, from a standpoint of being magnanimous and being lucky. All right. So maybe transform our lives through those things. You can't really manufacture luck, but you can be a manifester from a place of generosity. Okay. The more, the merrier. The lack mentality is the thing that's going to drive some crazy behaviors, some unethical behaviors. Lack mentality, thinking there's only so much and I've got to get my piece of the pie. That is going to drive something in people who may be very unconscious to do things that they wouldn't normally do. And the karmic wheel will turn, and that will be something that won't be rewarded. Okay. But on the other side of this, leaning into Jupiter's in Taurus, right? So Taurus is about the energy of generosity, about my moral values. So taking the high road, the moral value, your moral values, whatever they are, yours, okay? Your moral values, taking the high road, and doing it that way, doing through that energy, that is going to expand your luck and expand the amount of prosperity or the kind of, I have tons of opportunity. I have tons of connections. I have tons of directions to go here. If I'm working with partners, hey, we've got a lot of opportunity. So let's all benefit from that. That is going to be rewarded. And that may be something that some people, this is almost like the Scrooge transformation, right? In the middle of the night, he's like, why am I jamming all of my coins into these bags and just kind of like looking at them? They're just pieces of metal. The people, mankind is my business. And so if you're thinking of starting a business or you're thinking of moving into doing business, we are going to be talking about this in the spiritual business class. This is a spiritual business principle of moving from a place of generosity. If you're manifesting from a place of, hey, there's plenty to go around, rather than from a place of, oh, I got mine and the rest of you can just go jump off a bridge, that stuff is going to be flipped on its head. Okay. So sticking with the moral high ground is going to benefit you in some almost unforeseen ways. All right. So you do something that's really magnanimous and generous for someone. I wouldn't expect like a 1-for-1 situation, but a new opportunity may show up, or something along the lines of, wow, I never thought I would get to do something like this. Someone brings in a new client, or someone brings in some new people, and you just get to expand your energy in the world. That's the way to go, in my opinion. So that is something that can show up, and that might be a way to handle it. This energy is the strongest on May 17th. So just FYI. Increasing wealth through this position is definitely possible, but only coming from that moral high ground place. All right. If it's the other way, if it's from a lack mentality, you may experience wealth, but then it may just go away as quickly as it came. So what else can expand in this energy is obsessive compulsive behaviors. Going to need to be really wary of that, really aware of that, if you do have OCD, or if you have someone with OCD in your family or in your life, it can ramp up. Okay, so it can ramp up. So just be mindful of that. There's nothing really to do. Sometimes being aware of that is good enough. Like, oh, okay, this is the energy. All right, I get it. And so if the person who has OCD isn't you, that might be a teachable moment. Okay, not that they can really, all of a sudden, oh, look at me, I don't have OCD anymore. It's not really like that, but at least you might have something to say about this without it just being like, oh, well, you're kind of stuck with it, right? It would be nice to just be able to say, hey, listen, this energy is really wild. So I get it. It might make the other person feel a little more relaxed and at ease. This is also a really good time to expand your beliefs. Jupiter is about belief systems, and expanding yours. So if you have been able to if you crafted your own moral compass, right, your own value system, have you, usually that's underpinned by your beliefs. So this is a really good time to expand those beliefs. So if we really believe in generosity and human kindness and helping your fellow man and things like that, this is a great time to expand that, to make change. Okay, Jupiter square Pluto, to make change, making a sacrifice or doing some things that, may take you out of your way, doing things that are good for humanity that, you don't do every single day, but this is a great time to make transformation. Jupiter square Pluto, through self-sacrifice or through some kind of selfless behavior that can really make a difference in the world. So if you're wanting to step into doing that, this is a great time to do that. Okay, so seek to expand. The things that are going to get crushed during this time period, Jupiter square Pluto: single-mindedness, narrow-mindedness, self-righteousness. All of these things will be highlighted. Their intolerance, people who are intolerant of people who are not the same as them, bigotry, all of that stuff is going to be, the karmic retribution will be swift. Okay. And that's something that is the opposite of human kindness and generosity, right? So Jupiter is going to be like, hey, I don't really like that. So there's going to be a bit of a backlash on that, just so you know. So Pluto will seek to clear these kinds of behaviors. So someone in your life who you may see as intolerant or having, kind of ruthless behavior may be served up with an opportunity to change that, like Scrooge was, in A Christmas Carol, where he's visited by the three ghosts. Maybe your friend's going to be visited by three ghosts to really change their behavior. And the three ghosts can come in the form of a loss of financial stability, a loss of belief systems where, hey, I've believed this since I was a kid and that gets wiped away, or a recognition that maybe your college degree that you've relied upon really needs updating. And so all of a sudden, okay, I'm not employable. Oh, I got to do something about this. I've got to make some kind of change. Okay. So just know, look in your birth chart. Where is Taurus? What house is it in? And where's Aquarius? Because those two houses are going to indicate what part of your life may be affected. My Taurus is in the 7th house into the 8th house, and my Aquarian energy is in the 4th house. So this can have to do, 4th house is about ancestors and mother and nurturing behavior. 7th house is about intimate relationships. So those may expand and change because of this energy. Okay, so if you want to know about that, the Birth Chart Mastery class is the place to go. All right, so let's move on. So the final thing I want you to look at is Pluto's going retrograde May 1st. Now, we've talked a lot about Pluto on this channel. I will put a playlist or video here about the things we've talked about with Pluto. And Pluto goes into retrograde May 1st. It's in Aquarius. It's at 0 degrees Aquarius. Pluto is a generational planet. It's so far out there. It moves so slowly. It takes 247 years to go all the way around the zodiac. So it impacts all of us in a very powerful way spiritually as well, because it's one of those generational planets that we are finding in astrology. Pluto, Uranus, and Neptune impact us all as a collective. Okay. And so this may not be something that's you're noticing is your particular transformation and no one else is doing this. This is like everybody's doing this. Okay. So it is definitely, Pluto energy rules Scorpio. And that is about death and rebirth and deep personal transformation. Pluto in Aquarius right now. Aquarius is the innovation energy, right? It's like new technology, new expansiveness, new. Not doing things the way we used to do them. It's going into retrograde, and retrograde's going to wobble back into Capricorn, which is about rules and traditions. So it's going to be over this year, 2023, and almost to the end of 2024, November 2024. Pluto is doing this dance between Aquarian energy, this innovation energy, this do new stuff, this make new rules, this, rebellion energy, kind of getting rid of stuff that doesn't work anymore. It's going to wobble back into Capricorn, and Capricorn is very traditional. This is how we do things. These are the guardrails. This is how things work. Okay. And we as a collective are experiencing this wobble between moving into the very airy energy of let's just do stuff differently versus the earthy energy of no, for time and memoriam, this is how we've all done this. This is how it's got to be. So let me give you some dates here. So May 1st until June 11th, right? Yeah, June 11th. May 1st till June 11th, it's still in Aquarius. June 11th, it's going to wobble back into Capricorn. Okay, so 29 degrees Capricorn. So around June 11th, there may be some big changes in terms of, all right, that new stuff is pretty scary. So we're going to go back to how we used to doing it because that feels more comfortable. And then we're going to see that, hey, that Pluto in Aquarius, we were just getting a flavor of what the transformations for our society is going to be. Pluto in Aquarius since March, since we've had this little burst of new energy with Aquarian energy, whatever's been going on for you for the past few months is a little bit of or until June 11th, even though Pluto's in retrograde, it's still in Aquarius until June 11th. You have a little bit of a sample of what life is going to be like for the next 20 years. Because when Pluto goes fully into Aquarius, it's staying there for the next 20 years or so, right? Ish. Pluto in Aquarius, this last couple of months, shows us a little precursor to the age of Aquarius, right? Pluto in Capricorn is where we've been. And the things that used to make us feel safe or feel good. I feel like we've moved into this Pluto in Aquarius, whatever's been going on for the past few months, we can feel a little bit like, all right, that's good. I've had enough of a preview. I'm going to go back to the way I used to do things. Or I want to go back. I want to go back when it was safe and when it was this and when it was that. I feel like then June 11th through October, it's still in Capricorn. When it moves back into Aquarius in October, I think we're going to be sick of the old way. I think we're going to see how nostalgia can kind of fool us and say, yeah, that really had to go. It's like that little pink dress I used to have when I was growing up. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. And when I was 3 and 4 years old, it fit me and it was cute and the color was still vibrant and all of that. And then I went into nursery school and I was looking for something, and I didn't know this at the time because I was little, but I was looking for something to make me feel safe. And so I wore that little pink dress, and boy, it looked faded and it was a little too small and it didn't look that good anymore. And it was really time to move out of that. Right. And so I had to say goodbye to that. And I think that's what's going to be happening between June and Capricorn. We're going to have to say goodbye to some things that made us feel safe, that made us feel, anchored, or made us feel like we were okay. And now we have to move into that innovative energy again. So we're guided, this Pluto going retrograde, all retrogrades are internal, are times when we reflect, okay? Things can come back around to us that we get to take a second bite at that apple or make a second choice. And that's a really great opportunity, especially when it's Pluto, because Pluto is about big change. So some of us may have missed a boat or missed an opportunity, missed a chance. And now we get the chance to say yes or say no, depending on which we had done before and that we didn't like the outcome of that. So we're going to get a chance to change. So you may be guided to reflect on the life cycles, on the cycles that are going on in your life right now. Everything has birth, life, and death. Everything, the seasons, our lives and our relationships, everything has birth, life, and then it goes into a death and then a rebirth. And right, we have these cycles. Pluto going retrograde over the course of this next 2 years, but really strongly right now, until about October, until later in the year. It's going to go direct, right? It's going to go direct. And then we're moving back into Aquarius. But this wobble over 2023 and 24 is really going to give us a chance to say yes to some things and let that pink dress go when it's back in Capricorn. Okay, now there's a new way of feeling stable and secure, and it comes from our own innovation, our own desire to make change in a way that's positive. So getting afraid when Pluto's in Aquarius of like, okay, wow, this is too much change. Let's go back into Capricorn. I feel comfortable for 5 minutes and then go, yeah, this does need to end. This does need to change. It can be like going back to an old boyfriend and you're like, oh, this feels really good. I remember, the relationship. And then you're like, yeah, but it's time for me to move on. That's the feeling. That's the feeling. Okay. So let me just get clear on these dates. May 1st, Pluto goes into retrograde. Okay. It's going back into Capricorn on June 11th. So we're going to have that experience of Pluto in Capricorn, June 11th through October. Okay. It's going direct. And then in October, we're going to have that experience of it moving forward, which is not such an internal experience, and then moving back into Aquarius early in the year, late in this year, and early in next year. And then we'll have that new revival again. So just know that you can look back a little bit while we're waiting for this wobble to continue and iron out. It might be useful to do a little bit of journaling of how has your life changed since last October, right? Since last October to this October, just give it a year, because we are experiencing this Pluto 29 degrees, which is really powerful. Pluto 0 degrees, which is really powerful. Capricorn versus Aquarius, all this kind of stuff. Look in your birth chart. Where is Capricorn and Aquarius? For me, that has the 3rd and the 4th house. It's wobbling back and forth between the 3rd and the 4th house. So that will give you an indication of what parts of your life will be impacted. And it's just a really good time to experience this tradition versus innovation kind of energy. Where do we need to put our energy? Where are we putting our energy? Are we putting our energy into holding on to things that need to go, relationships that need to end? Or are we saying a healthy goodbye and moving forward in our lives? That's what Pluto going into retrograde on May 1st is going to bring us front and center. When it finally goes back into Aquarius at the end of November 2024 for good, okay? It's now a couple of degrees into Aquarius. And even when it goes retrograde, it's not going back to Capricorn. The end of November, or the end of 2024, November 2024, Pluto will be in Aquarius for the next 20 years. So we've got this time period to see it wobbling back and forth. And how are you impacted by it? And what kind of change do you want to make? And what needs to be let go of? So I hope you've liked this type of video. If you do like this type of video, hit the like button below. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the little bell so you don't miss anything. And if you have the opportunity to share it, please do. That gives this channel a chance to go a little bit further out into the world. And if you like my content, I'd really love that. I appreciate that. I appreciate you. All right. Thanks very much. All right, I hope you enjoyed that video. If it was helpful to you, please consider liking this video and sharing it with anybody who might have a need for similar kind of information. And if you like this video, check out these videos.